Could you start by telling us your name?
Okay, my name is Bob Jones.
And what year did you graduate?
1967.
Great. Can you tell us some of your favorite stories from your time at Susquehanna?
Okay. Perhaps one of the most interesting was what took place in my sophomore year. First of all, during my freshman year, I lived in a dormitory called G.A. Hall, which stood for Gustavus Adolphus, and who was a king of Sweden at one time. And it was a building that was located in between Bogart Hall and the administration building. And it consisted of 3 levels. The first level was student union and mailroom. The second and third floors were dormitories. And my freshman year, I lived there on the second floor in a dormitory. Well, the action really took place in our sophomore year. And in my sophomore year, I was living in Aikens at the time. And all of a sudden, someone came into the building saying the GA Hall was on fire. And so quite a few of us went over, and it was an enormous blaze on GA Hall. And it was so bad to the extent that some students were helping the firefighters fight the fire. They were holding the hoses,
Wow.
helping to stream the water on the blaze. And some of us, and this is where I was involved, were asked by one of the professors named English to go over to the administration building and start carrying out the steel filing cabinets, because they thought that the flames were about ready to jump from GA Hall over to the administration building.
And that was Selinsgrove Hall?
And it was Selinsgrove Hall, and they wanted us to take out all the steel filing cabinets, because that was all the records of current and past students and other important information. So there were several of us that were involved with taking out those filing cabinets, which were very, very heavy, because of course they were loaded filing cabinets. But the blaze continued throughout the evening. This was an evening blaze that took place. And there were, of course, students living there. There were students who were in the faculty, or in the lounge, in the student lounge. And so after the fire, and this was shortly before Thanksgiving, I believe. And so after the fire, they were wondering what to do with those students. So they had a course of action that all of the students who were on the second and third floors, who were all freshmen, they put them out into 2 motels, which were along 1115. One was the Holiday Inn, which is now the Connor Lodge, and the other one was called Phillips Motel. And for the and this was in the early part of the school year. So for the balance of the school year, those students had to commute each day by way of a bus that came in from the motels to come on campus so they could go to classes.
That's crazy.
And then what they had to also do was take into consideration the fact that we had a student lounge on the first floor, as well as a mailroom. So what they did was, for the old gym, which is still here, they took part of the old gym on the top floor and made that into a student union. And then on the bottom floor, they made that part into a mailroom. And so we improvised for that year, which would have been my sophomore year, for my junior year, and for my senior year, that's where our student union and mailroom was. The new student union building, of course, wasn't even thought of then, and the only new building on campus that was being built while we were here was the chapel, which was completed during our senior year, and also in my junior year, the new men's dormitory, which you have a different name for it now. It's the farthest one up the hill.
West Hall.
West Hall, yeah. And that's where That's where I was for my junior and senior year. But I would say the fire really stood out for me. The ironic part about it is, after I graduated, I was in the insurance industry, and I worked for a company called INA, which stood for the Insurance Company of North America. And I found out that that was the company that insured G.A. Hall, which paid out a couple $1 million. So that the company I eventually worked for paid out the money, the insurance money for that fire.
That's interesting. Do they know what started the fire?
I don't think they were found out. Not that I was aware of. But you look, there was a lot of electrical equipment in the student lounge area. There were some vending machines there and things like that. So there was a lot of electrical, and it was an old building. It was a very old building, and I don't think anything had really been updated there in many years. And even the dormitories, the dormitory rooms were very large. Many of them held 3 to 4 students with plenty of room.
Are there any other memories you wanted to share, or anything else you'd like to say?
Oh, there were a lot of things that happened there. I think someone else was talking about the chapel, where the helicopter brought the steeple in, which was kind of interesting to watch. And it was a good school to go to, and I think all of us have very fond memories of it.
Great. What do you think the importance of alumni sharing their stories is to the history of the school?
I think it puts things into perspective a little bit. For instance, right now, a lot of the current students, if they see that blank space on campus between the Bogart and Selinsgrove Hall, they might wonder, was there ever anything here? Also, you have the stairs leading up to what should have been something at one time.
Yeah. Great. Thank you so much.